Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. Five-time Pro Bowler Terron Armstead, one of the most respected offensive tackles of his generation, shocked the football world earlier this year when he announced his sudden retirement from the NFL. On the surface, the decision seemed puzzling. After all, the 32-year-old had just wrapped up another stellar season, suiting up for 15 games, the most he's played since 2017, and continuing to play at an elite level for the Miami Dolphins. But when Armstead recently sat down with Shannon Sharpe and Chad Ochocinco Johnson on the Nightcap podcast, he peeled back the curtain on a brutal, agonizing reality that most fans never see. It wasn't just wear and tear. It was a constant, overwhelming fight to even stand on his own feet, let alone protect the quarterback. And in that emotional, eye-opening interview, he made it painfully clear this wasn't just retirement. It was survival. Armstead's story wasn't just about the end of a football career. It was a harsh expose on what professional athletes endure behind the scenes to keep chasing greatness. I didn't see a practice field at all, Armstead admitted, and not because I didn't want to, or the Dolphins just wanted me to rest. I literally couldn't walk. That wasn't hyperbole, he meant it. From Sunday night until at least midweek, he was practically immobilized. No training, no light jogs, no position drills. Just recovery, rehab, and a relentless routine of painkillers and therapy just to be able to suit up again. Imagine being one of the NFL's most dominant linemen, yet not being able to put weight on your own leg without help, and then returning to the field by the weekend to battle 300-pound pass rushers. What makes Armstead's situation even more compelling is that he wasn't showing signs of slowing down, at least not to the public eye. In both 2022 and 2023, he was named to the Pro Bowl, once again proving that when he was on the field, he was among the best in the business. That's why fans were confused. Why would someone retire after such a strong showing? But what we saw on Sundays was only the tip of the iceberg. Beneath that helmet was a man who'd reached his limit. After a game on Sunday, I wouldn't be able to walk under my own power until Wednesday, Thursday, he said. That's 3 to 4 days of being nearly disabled every single week, just to recover in time to repeat the punishment. For anyone who thinks these guys just play a few hours a week and cash checks, Armstead's words hit like a freight train. Throughout his 12-year NFL career, 9 with the New Orleans Saints, followed by 3 with the Dolphins, Armstead was always a fighter. Even when injuries piled up, he pushed through, earning a reputation for being as tough as they come, but toughness comes with a cost. And for Armstead, the bill had come due. He described his knee as a constant source of agony to the point where he said bluntly, "I couldn't put any pressure on my knee." His decision to walk away wasn't just about pain. It was about realizing that he was doing long-term damage to his body. That's when the line got crossed. It wasn't worth the glory anymore. It wasn't worth the risk. It wasn't worth losing his mobility after football. And perhaps the most jarring quote from Armstead came when he labeled himself the most injured guy in NFL history. That might sound dramatic until you consider how many surgeries and rehab stints he's endured. Yet despite that brutal self-assessment, he was still delivering Pro Bowl caliber performances, which makes his story even more heartbreaking. Here was a guy playing through what most of us would consider career-ending pain, and not only surviving, but dominating. He wasn't chasing one last paycheck. He wasn't hanging on for legacy. He was fighting to compete until his body finally said, "Enough." It's rare to hear athletes be this raw, this vulnerable. But Armstead's honesty made his retirement feel more like a victory than a defeat. The NFL has long been criticized for the physical toll it takes on its players, and Armstead's candid revelations add more fuel to that fire. For years, fans and analysts alike have marveled at how these players recover week after week, almost like machines. But Terron's story reminds us they're not machines. They're human, with bones, with joints, with pain thresholds, with breaking points. It takes a different kind of strength to walk away when your body is screaming at you every day. And for Armstead, that strength came not in another pancake block or highlight reel moment, but in choosing to protect himself for the long run, to preserve what quality of life he still had beyond the gridiron. Fans of the Dolphins and Saints, may feel a sense of loss seeing a pillar of their offensive line step away so suddenly. But there's also a growing sense of respect, because while Terron Armstead may no longer be suiting up on Sundays, his story is already becoming a cautionary tale and a source of inspiration. He's the reminder that greatness doesn't always look like touchdowns or trophies. Sometimes it looks like courage, the courage to say no, the courage to let go, the courage to choose health over heroics. And in the often ruthless world of professional sports, that kind of bravery is rare. It's also worth noting the context in which Armstead shared his story. Sitting across from two former NFL stars themselves, Shannon Sharpe and Chad Johnson. He wasn't just venting, he was opening up in a space where others could relate. Sharpe, a Hall of Fame tight end, has spoken about his own physical struggles post-retirement. Ocho Cinco, known for his toughness and durability, has also acknowledged the hits his body took. Together, their conversation was less of a podcast and more of a therapy session, one that millions of fans got to witness, and what came through most clearly was the respect in their eyes, because they knew what it takes to do what Armstead did, both on the field and in that decision to walk away. For younger players coming up in the league, Armstead's story offers an invaluable lesson. Yes, chase greatness. Yes, push your limits, but always listen to your body. No contract, no accolade, no Super Bowl dream is worth permanent damage. Terron's retirement is a warning and a wake-up call. And maybe, just maybe, it'll make teams rethink how they manage veteran players. Maybe it'll lead to more honest conversations between coaches and their stars. Maybe it'll even help destigmatize pain and injury among elite athletes. Because if a 5-time Pro Bowler can say, I couldn't walk, and still be expected to play, something's clearly broken in the system. As Terron Armstead closes this chapter, his legacy is secure. Not just as one of the best left tackles of his era, but as a man who chose wisdom over bravado. While fans may never forget the blocks he threw or the quarterbacks he protected, it's his final act. Stepping away with dignity, with pain, with truth, that might matter most. Football gave Terron a platform, but his story, his vulnerability, and his strength in walking away will echo far beyond any highlight reel. He didn't just retire, he made a statement, and that statement, perhaps more than any play he ever made, could change the game for the better. Still with us, then show us some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments, what's your take on the Fins this week? Tyreek Hill might have just lit a fire he won't be able to put out, folks. The superstar wide receiver of the Miami Dolphins, known for his explosive speed on the field and his often loud personality off it, has reportedly made a comment that's sending shockwaves through Dolphins Nation. According to whispers coming out of the locker room and surfacing in fan circles online, Hill recently expressed that he's losing motivation due to what he allegedly called the current state of the Dolphins roster. Yep, you heard that right. One of the franchise's biggest stars might be questioning whether the pieces around him are good enough. And let me tell you, Dolphins fans are not taking this lightly. This isn't just a casual locker room quote. It's the kind of thing that could shake up team chemistry, player relationships, and maybe even the front office's plans going forward. Now, let's be clear here. Tyreek hasn't made any public, on-camera statement about this. It's all coming through insider chatter and unnamed sources close to the team. But where there's smoke, there's often fire. And this particular rumor has been gaining serious traction since a popular Miami sports podcast hinted at a star player being unhappy with the team's direction. The internet did its thing, and within hours, all fingers pointed to Tyreek. It didn't help that Hill has been unusually quiet on social media lately. No hyped up posts about training camp, no shout outs to teammates, not even a fins up in weeks. For someone as vocal and media savvy as Hill, that silence speaks volumes. Is he really checked out already? Is the window for this Dolphin squad already starting to close? Fans are understandably furious. Tyreek Hill was brought to Miami with massive expectations. He's not just a deep threat or a Pro Bowl name. He's supposed to be the guy who helps Tua Tagovailoa become elite. The guy who gets the Dolphins over the hump and into Super Bowl contention. And to hear that he's the one expressing doubt? That hurts. Dolphins fans are some of the most passionate in the league. They've waited decades for their team to matter again. And last year felt like a turning point. to now hear that one of their superstars might be losing faith in the project? It's a gut punch. And even worse, it might signal a crack in the foundation the team's been building on since Mike McDaniel took over. Of course, not everyone is convinced this is a sign of doom. Some argue that Hill's rumored comment might have been taken out of context, or that it's simply a motivational tactic. Maybe he's trying to light a fire under the front office to make another big move, or push teammates to step up their game. We've seen this before with star athletes. Michael Jordan did it, Kobe did it, even Tom Brady called out teammates. But there's a big difference between demanding excellence and openly admitting you're losing motivation. That's not the same as calling for more effort. That's questioning whether the team even has what it takes. And that, my friends, is a dangerous line to walk in a league where locker room unity can make or break a season. There's also speculation that Tyreek might already have one foot out the door. His contract, while massive, includes potential out clauses that could be exploited by either side after the 2025 season. And let's not forget, Hill has hinted before that he might not play beyond the age of 30. He said he wants to retire on his own terms, and some fans are now wondering if he's mentally checking out early. Could this be the first sign that Tyreek is preparing his exit plan? Is he trying to avoid going down with a ship he no longer believes in? It's the kind of narrative that gets front offices nervous and gives rival teams ideas. Trust me, if there's even a whiff that Hill wants out, 31 other GMs will be lining up with offers. And what about the locker room? Players talk. They hear things. If Tyreek really did say something like this, you better believe it's already made its way around the team. And that's the kind of thing that can split a locker room right down the middle. Are guys going to rally around him and step up? Or are they going to resent him for throwing shade at the roster? That dynamic matters more than people think. Football isn't just about X's and O's. It's about trust, chemistry, and playing. For the guy next to you, if your top receiver is doubting the squad, what message does that send to the rest of the locker room? Coach Mike McDaniel has a reputation for being a player's coach, someone who builds strong relationships and keeps things positive, but this is going to test him. If these rumors keep swirling and the fan backlash continues, he's going to have to address it, either behind closed doors or publicly. Do they have a sit down with Tyreek? Do they put out a statement? Do they let it ride and hope it blows over? No matter what, it's a distraction. And in today's NFL, distractions like this can spiral quickly, especially in a hyper-competitive AFC where every edge matters. The Dolphins can't afford to be battling drama when they should be focused on making a deep playoff run. Let's not forget about the media pressure. Miami isn't exactly New York or LA, but when it comes to sports talk, that city can light up fast. Already, local radio is eating this story alive. Twitter spaces, Reddit threads, YouTube breakdowns, everyone's dissecting this quote, trying to figure out what it means. Some are even suggesting this could be the start of a diva phase for Tyreek, similar to what we saw in Kansas City before. He got traded. Whether that's fair or not, perception matters. And right now the perception is that Hill is unhappy, and when your most dangerous offensive weapon is unhappy, everything else starts to feel unstable. Now look, we don't know if this is going to explode into something bigger or quietly fade away. A single practice highlight reel could flip the narrative. One public comment from Hill, "I'm locked in, ignore the noise," could calm the storm. But until that happens, the Dolphins are living with a storm cloud over their heads. And with training camp just around the corner, they better hope this is just a summer squall and not a full-on hurricane. Because the expectations for this team are sky high. And another early playoff exit, or worse, missing the postseason altogether, would be catastrophic. So what happens next? We wait, we listen, we scroll, we watch. Because where there's drama, there's almost always a follow-up. Maybe Tyreek clears the air. Maybe teammates speak out. Maybe we find out the quote wasn't even real. But right now, this is the buzz that has Dolphins Twitter melting down. It's the kind of story that can define an offseason or derail one. Keep your notifications on, Fins fans. Because if this fire keeps burning, it's only a matter of time before someone has to put it out, or it burns the whole house down. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.